Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 27th of June and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We will take all the articles along with the background as well as the potential way forward. And I would also like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes or the synoptic notes of our session from the Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Okay, now first of all, let's see overview of newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important for our exam, which articles you should be concerned about and which articles should just be read in just the headlines. Now, first of all, on page number 1, we largely don't have much of relevant articles for exam. Center will ensure execution of pact with cookies, Biren. So basically guys, we have seen this thing that from last 1 month or so, there is the crisis going on in Manipur with respect to the tribal people, where the other tribal people, Chin, Cookies, they have not liked the idea of granting the scheduled tribe status to the Metis. So since then there is the crisis and the violence that has happened. Okay, and for that particular thing the pact will be signed now. You are not required to track this everyday development that is coming. Okay, deadline to apply for higher PF pension extended to July 11. Then we have these advertisements. Okay, fine. Then coming to the city section. Okay, so basically guys, in the city section largely we have the regional issues, tenders, political issues, etc. that have been there. Okay, nothing much important is given in this section. Moreover, I have told you okay, that if you are having some different edition of Hindu newspaper, there will be different political issues that will be there. Okay, however, as of now, we'll move and directly we come to the editorial section. So in editorial section, the first page article, the main chapter of how Hindutva sees the past. Okay, so basically guys, the article is actually talking about the basically for example how RSS sees the Hindutva. Okay, what are the different views on the Hindutva and all such kind of things. Now if you want to read it, read this article as a leisurely read, you can read it. However, for exam point of view, the article doesn't contains much of the substance. Okay, then on side here we have article on India and Egypt. So from past 3 days, actually Saturday, Monday, we already have taken the article on India-Egypt relation. Again, this article has come. Okay, so article is providing a crisp summary about the recent visit of Prime Minister to Egypt. We'll take that article also. Then laying the foundation for a future ready digital India, we'll take this particular article with respect to the examination, talking about the digital India bill. Now, here on side, rebellion in Russia. Now, this article is talking about the recent recent Wagner group mutiny that happened. Okay, so there is also one more article on the Wagner group mutiny in the text and the context page. We will club this article and that article. Then a man of the times and the ahead of it. Now, this article is talking about the Imtiaz Ahmad. Okay, now we'll basically take this particular article, what briefly it is talking about. Okay, then a June with extremes in the temperature. So the different cities, their temperature ranges, etc. have been given. Then text and context, understanding the Wagner mutiny. Okay, so we'll see this article with respect to the exam, what it is talking about. The next page, the role of organic intellectuals in challenging capitalist hegemony. We'll take this particular article briefly with respect to the examination. Then after that, some will have fewer Muslim majority constituencies, says opposition leaders. Okay, uh, we largely have the political issues, etc. on this particular page. Okay, not very much important with respect to the examination. Okay, so the same thing, same kind of a thing continues. Here there is one important article that we have. Okay, it is on to the next page. Since April, 149 Char Dham Yatris died from ailment and accidents and misfortunate event. Okay, however, for exam, here we have one article, Sri Lanka to restructure its domestic debt amid challenges. We'll briefly take this particular article. Then the other articles are with respect to that the same Wagner mutiny that has happened in Russia. Already there is a detailed article on text and context page. We'll cover that thing there. Then moving to the next, that is business page. S&P Standard and Poor retains financial year 24 India growth projection at 6%. Now understand this thing guys, that when we talk about the growth projections, these things depend on lot of factors. For example, the inflation, private investments, public investments, global outlook, all these things, global inflation, all these things, these depend on. you are not required to track every agency's forecast data, because they tend to change from time to time. Okay. Uh, then further moving on, then HUL to become an intelligent enterprise, fine. Then we largely have the corporate trends, etc., that are there. And then this is the sports page. Now, moving on, after 2-3 pages of this sports section, we have this science page. Okay. Now, the science page usually contains some good articles. Okay. So, yesterday also there was an article. The fossils that changing what we know about patterns in nature. Now, basically, guys, this particular article is saying that the spiky leaves, basically the fossils of the trees, they follow a particular pattern, that is the Fibonacci series. Okay. Now, what is the Fibonacci series? Okay. Let me tell you the Fibonacci series. So, the next number in the Fibonacci series will be the sum of the past two digits. For example, if you started from 0, 0 and 1, if you total 0 and 1, it will become 1. Then the next number will be the total of the past two digits, that is 1 and 2, 3. Then the next will be the sum of these two, that is 2 and 3, 5. Then the next is the sum of these three, that is 5 and 18, 5 and 8, 13. Okay, so likewise the Fibonacci series is there. That is, the resulting number will be the sum of the past two digits. For example, 1 and 1 will lead to 2. Then 1 and 2 will lead to 3. Then 2 and 3 will lead to 5. Then 3 and 5 will lead to 8. So this is the Fibonacci series that we have. So basically, the article is giving the reference of the different papers, and they say this particular thing, that Fibonacci spirals are common in plant today. Okay, this is a kind of a pattern. Fine. Are you required to go in deep in this particular article? No, not at all. For exam point of view, the substance is not there in this article. Just you should know what this Fibonacci series is all about. Okay. That is all about it. And now let's take all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. And this is the synoptic notes that I was telling you that you can download. So in every class, we take a quotation from some of the prominent personalities. These quotations can be used in one of your paper, either GS 1, 2, 3, 4 or in essay. So today we'll take the quotation from Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin says that an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Okay. So investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. This article is actually talking about the importance of education, importance of learning, importance of literacy. So every single dollar, every single rupee that is invested in education and learning, it is the best investment that a nation can do, and it will be incurring the long-term dividends for a nation. And this thing has become even more important into the present times, because right now UNFPA says that 2020 to 2040 will be the golden window of demographic dividend for India. We will have the youngest cohort of working population. But if that population is not educated, is not skilled, then that demographic dividend might turn in demographic disaster. So right now, it is even a bigger priority that we need to invest in knowledge systems, in education, in learning. So this is the idea. Now you can use in GS paper number 2. This idea can be used in the GS paper number 2, issues related to the social justice. Okay, education particularly. Now, taking up the first article. Okay, so the first article that we are taking is from the text and the context section, understanding the Wagner mutiny. Now, first of all, guys, let's understand some of the basic things. Now, right now we see that more than 1 year has happened and the Russia-Ukraine war is continuing. Now, basically, guys, in this Russia-Ukraine war, Russia have relied a lot on a militia group, on a private military, Now, this is a private military, and this private military is called as the Wagner group. Wagner group. So, basically, if I zoom out here, okay, just a minute. Okay, so here in the photograph, you can see the picture of Mr. Yevgeny Prigozhin. Yevgeny Prigozhin. Now he is the president, or he is the chairman of the Wagner group. which is a private military, which is helping the Russia in this Russia-Ukraine war. Now, recently what has happened, this the chairman of the Wagner group, he says this particular thing, that the top defense personals, defense top brass of the defense in the Russia, they are targeting the soldiers of the Wagner group. Secondly, they say that there is a lot of corruption in the defense system of Russia. The defense of Russia is incompetence. And the Wagner group's chairman says this particular thing, that with us injustice have happened. Till now they were supporting Russia, and now they have turned against the Russia. And recently they started a march of justice to reach the city of Moscow. They declared that we will capture the city of Moscow. Now, we see this particular thing, that Russia-Ukraine war is going on, okay, and during this Russia-Ukraine war, the Wagner group, which has created a mutiny against their own country, that is the Russia, it becomes a cause of concern for the Russia. It shows that Russia or Vladimir Putin is not actually able to control the situation that is there at the hand. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that if you focus on this particular picture, here we see this is the region of Crimea, which has already been annexed by the Russia way back in 2014. Here we have Ukraine, on this side we have Russia. Now here we have certain regions, for example Donetsk is there, Bakhmut is there, okay. Now basically this is a particular region where the Russia has advanced pretty much lot, okay. Basically, particularly the Bakhmut is a region recently came under the control of Russia, and in that Wagner group has played a very important role. In fact, the biggest victories up till now, whatever has been there in the Russia-Ukraine war or for the Russia, these victories are because of the Wagner group's role that they have played. Now, this entire group has led to a mutiny against the Russia. So, it is calling in question mark the President Vladimir Putin's leadership. Now, recently they have taken up this particular mutiny. Now, this mutiny was short-lived, fine. Then it was basically a kind of a compromise kind of a thing was achieved. Okay. So, let's understand what happened. So, recently they carried a revolt against the Russia's top defense brass. They said that they need to be replaced, they need to be removed because they are incompetent. Okay. Now, when we talk about this Wagner group and Mr. Prigozhin, okay, he has built this private military, first of all, with the blessings of the Mr. Putin. Okay. So, why Mr. Putin has helped the Prigozhin to make this private military? There are certain reasons for that particular thing. Reason number one, guys, is that Russia is right now supporting many of the regimes in the countries of Africa. Okay, in West Asia, Russia is supporting many of the regimes, and therefore Russia have to deploy the forces in support of these systems, these regimes. Now Russia doesn't want to send their own military there, so therefore it relies on the private military, that is the Wagner group. Now this Wagner group, it has developed a deep presence in the Africa's regions where lawlessness is prevailing. Okay, in Africa's lawless region, Wagner group has developed the presence. It is providing the security to the governments there, security to the mines, corporations, etc. Now, understand this particular thing, that as Wagner group has started the mutiny against their own country, Russia, Mr. Putin, first of all said this particular thing, that we will bring it to the end. Okay, Wagner group will be crushed. But if Putin crushes the Wagner group, what will be the presence, what will happen to the Africa region? Because there Wagner group plays a very important role. So right now Russia is facing a kind of a dilemma. If it crushes the Wagner group, then how it will take its help in Africa? And if it doesn't crushes the Wagner group might become a threat to the Russia again in the times to come. So Russia is in a dilemma right now. And I told you that the two biggest victories for the Russia, that is the capturing of the Soledar and Bakhmut. Okay, both of these regions in Ukraine were captured because of the Wagner group. So they actually have been very much effective also in this particular war. So this again adds to the dilemma for Mr. Putin. Now recently what has happened, as they were trying to reach to the Moscow and they wanted to capture the Moscow, The President of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, intervened and he negotiated the talks between the Russia and the Wagner group. And right now, the Wagner group has called back their mutiny, and a kind of a truce, a kind of a relative peace has been achieved as of now. But will it be long lasting or not? We cannot say anything in this particular respect. Now this entire episode has opened the question marks for the Russia's leadership in this particular situation, particularly the leadership of Mr. Putin. Now we have seen that up till now there was poor battlefield performance of Russia. Fine. Then we find that this internal feud, internal crisis have come. Moreover, corruption allegations on the military of Russia has also been levied. All these things remain unaddressed, and it actually is showcasing the weakness of Russia to the world. So now it is very much logical for the Russia to bring the war to an end, because these particular things are further impacting the credibility of Russia. So this is something that Russia should be doing now. That is all about this particular article. And now we'll move to the next article. Okay, so next article. So here we have this particular article taken from the text and the context section. The role of organic intellectuals, in challenging the capitalist hegemony. Okay, now basically guys, first of all, if you have the sociology or PSI are optional, you can go little bit more detail in this particular article, but for GS you are not required to go too much in detail. However, even if you have optional, the relevant things I have given here in the write-up, so no need to go then also. Now, first of all, let's understand the concept of the organic intellectual. Now, basically guys, first of all, who is an intellectual? Intellectual is a person who has been a person who is well read, a person who is well versed with the ideas. That person is called as an intellectual person. Now, who is an organic intellectual? The concept of organic intellectual was introduced by the Italian Marxist thinker or Marxist supporter Antonio Gramsci. So basically guys, organic intellectual are those intellectuals who can build awareness among the masses. These are those intellectuals who rose to the professional standing from a social class that typically does not produces the intellectuals. Okay, and they still stay associated with that particular class. Let me give you one example. Now guys, suppose there is a class. Now you take any class, let's say the class of the laborers. Now hypothetically, let's understand that suppose the laborers, now these people are very poor, and usually this particular class doesn't invest too much in education. So therefore intellectuals from this particular class would not be there. So usually let's say this class doesn't produces any intellectuals, but there will be one person who will rise even from this particular class, will become intellectual, but will not disassociate himself from the class. He will be attached with this particular class, will be propagating or will be talking on the concerns of this particular class. So this intellectual is an organic intellectual. So organic intellectual, now there are certain qualities, let's understand them one by one. Number one, organic intellectual is a person from that class which usually don't produces the intellectual. Second feature, this particular person doesn't detaches from the class, rather becomes connected to the original class. Third, this person will propagate the interest or the issues of that particular class. That is the organic intellectual. For example, a person rising from the class of the laborers and talking about the labor concerns, talking about reforming the capitalism or bringing the socialism. So this is the organic intellectual. Okay, now the organic intellectual are different from the traditional intellectual. Traditional intellectuals are the learned person who gets detached, who gets disassociated from the class from where they have actually come. Now, this is one concept. Okay. Now, the second concept that Gramsci has given is the concept of hegemony as the mode of power. Now, Gramsci says this particular thing, that post mid 19th century, fighting the war has become very much expensive. Countries don't rely on the crude muscle power. Right now, the countries are relying on creating hegemony. Now, what is hegemony? So basically, hegemony is opposite of controlling the public through coercion and force. It is opposite than that. What hegemony is? Hegemony is cultivating the consensual support throughout the civil society. Now understand this thing. You influence the civil society, you influence the countries, you influence the social class in such a way that they accept you as a supreme, they accept you as their leader. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Suppose situation number one, I by force I can intimidate people and I can ask them that you recognize me as a leader, but this has become very expensive. Okay, so I can influence, I can showcase myself as a nation whose leadership is must for them, influencing them and making them to accept me as their leader. It is the art of becoming a hegemon. Okay, now when we talk about the hegemony, in hegemony there will be the gradual building of the consensus across the nation. Across the nation, consensus will be built that yes, this person or this party is our true leader. Okay, now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the hegemony, when we talk about developing the hegemony, the state has to take many smart ways to develop their hegemony. For example, the state has to showcase itself as an ethical educator, and the state will tell what is right, what is wrong, what is just, what is unjust. State will also be taking the influence of the civil societies. State will also be supported by the educational institutions and religious institution, which will certify that yes, state is the ordainer of ethics, state is the ordainer of rules, laws, morality, everything. Okay, so basically what will happen, the state will capture the power in all the spheres. It will influence civil society, it will be having the power in the matters of religion, it will be having the power, it will get the backing of the educational institution also, and then it will be able to maintain its power, it will be able to influence all the people, and the state has achieved the hegemony. Okay, now it has been said that in order to achieve the hegemony, state needs the support of the intellectuals also, because intellectuals can influence the people. Now guys, understand this particular thing. You please go and note, just pause the video and wait, think for 1 second. Every political party has some 2-3 intellectuals that they have propped out, which are participating in TV debates, which are talking on YouTube and everywhere. You find these people that they are so intellectual, they have knowledge of history, polity, philosophy, everything. Okay, and these intellectuals, while they are giving these facts, datas, when they are when they have the spontaneous take on everything, religion, history, philosophy, geography, politics, geopolitics, you find that yes, these people are the learned personalities, and whatever they are saying, they are true. You get influenced by them. So every political party, every state power needs the support of the intellectuals also, because they are the one who can influence the civil societies, who can help them to gain the consent of the masses. Clear? Now, organic intellectuals organic intellectuals in this particular capacity, guys, understand this thing. According to the Gramsci, organic intellectuals can be used by the state to influence their class, and at the same time organic intellectuals can also educate their own people with respect to the wrong things that are going in the society, the wrong things that the state is adopting, and all such kind of things. Okay, so organic intellectuals, they were used by the state, fine, to maintain their position, but they are also important for revolutionary project. Fine, they can be used by state, but they can educate their own people and can put the seeds of the revolutionary ideas. Okay, so guys, when we talk about the Marx and such people, these people actually rose from a particular class. Okay, and they even get attached from that particular class. So this is an example of organic intellectual that you can take. So that is all about this particular article. And now moving to the next article, a grand revival. Okay, now this particular article, guys, will take with respect to the GS paper number 2, India Egypt relation. India Egypt relation, GS paper number 2, international relation. Okay, now what this particular article is actually talking about, let's see that. So basically, guys, recently Prime Minister of India has visited the two nations. One was US and other is Egypt. In US, he largely concerned with two things, that is the critical technologies and the second was the defense cooperation. Okay, and many deals have been signed on that particular front. We have already taken up that in the previous newspaper analysis videos. Now, after the US, Prime Minister visited to the Egypt, and in Egypt also there are the 4 memorandum of understandings that have been signed. We will take that particular thing and briefly the relations between the India and Egypt. Now, so basically, number one development, what has happened? Recently, India and Egypt decided to upgrade their diplomatic relations to the strategic partnership. When the two countries become the strategic partner, the cooperation will go beyond the exports of goods and services. The cooperation will go in military cooperation. The cooperation will go towards the critical technologies. Okay, all such things will be covered under the strategic partnership. So India and Egypt became the diplomatic partners in 1947, just after the independence of India. And now in 2023, India and Egypt have signed the strategic partnership deal. This is the very important outcome of this particular visit, and it also shows that India is giving a lot of importance to the West Asia, North Africa region. West Asia, North Africa region. It plays a very important role in India's foreign policy, and recognizing Egypt as a strategic partner shows the importance that we give. Now, first of all, when we talk about, guys, the India and Egypt cooperation, the cooperation is pretty old. For example, we have signed the Friendship Treaty in 1955. Then also India supported the Egypt during the Suez Canal crisis of 1956. You might have already read it in your world history. Okay. Then you might be knowing about the non-aligned movement. Okay. And non-alignment movement, which is a movement started up by the countries who did not want it, who neither wanted to join the USA camp, nor they want to join the USSR camp. You might be knowing that after World War II, the world got polarized. The world got divided in two camps. On one hand, US, on another hand, the USSR. Now, the countries who are becoming independent, many of them wanted that we want to maintain our independent foreign policy. Neither will be aligned to US nor will be aligned to USSR. And a third front, the non-aligned movement was started. And India and Egypt both were the founding members of the non-aligned movement in 1961. So, this is the cooperation. Then both the India and Egypt are also the part of the G77 groupings, which advocate the interest for the developing world. Moreover, both also propagate the South-South cooperation. Now, guys, what is South-South cooperation? So, South-South is a name, or it is an acronym that we use for the developing world. Okay, because if you see, the northern hemisphere largely contains the North America, Europe, etc., which are largely the developed countries. But if we talk about the south, in south largely the Asia, South America, Africa, it is there. So south means the grouping, or it becomes a collective term for the developing world. So South-South cooperation, both India and Egypt have propagated it from a very long period of time. Then next, both the countries have actually a very much similar approach on Russia-Ukraine war also that is going on. For example, when we talk about India very clearly said this thing, that we condemn the war. We say war is unethical, war is wrong, but India has not fixed the blame entirely on Russia. West and US wants that India should plant on the blame on Russia, but India has not done it. India has neither said Russia is only responsible, nor it has said only Ukraine is responsible, but war is bad. The same approach has been taken by the Egypt also. Okay, so Egypt is not refusing the Russia's action, okay, but also saying that diplomatic relations are needed. Then the next thing is that, guys, fifthly, India and Egypt also share a very special relationship, because last year, now you know, Russia-Ukraine war is going on since 1 year. Now Egypt is dependent on the wheat imports, and Ukraine was a country which was exporting a lot of wheat grains to the Egypt. But after this war, those particular supplies got suspended, and a hunger-like situation was developing in Egypt. At that point of a time, India intervened, and India provided the wheat supplies to the Egypt, and Egypt, that particular thing has really helped the Egypt. Now, ultimately, the Black Sea Grain Initiative came. What is Black Sea Grain Initiative? So basically the Russia provided a safe corridor to the Ukrainian ships through the Black Sea, that if they are carrying the wheat or they are carrying the food grains, they can pass. So then wheat Black Sea Grain Initiative came, but earlier the India was the one who provided the wheat exports. Now after this, I told you that 4 MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, have been signed. These MOUs are in agriculture, archaeology and antiquities, competition law, 1, 2, 3, and the fourth is on the strategic partnership. So these 4 MOUs have also been signed. Then next is that the president of the president of Egypt was invited by India on the Republic Day, and in turn now the Egypt has given the order of the Nile recognition to the Prime Minister of India. The order of the Nile is the highest recognition of the Egypt that has been given to the Indian Prime Minister. Now the next thing is, guys, that see, all these are the cooperations that we have done between the India and Egypt till this particular point of time, but now there are more such there will be the more such initiatives where the India and Egypt will be coming more close. For example, now you already might be knowing that for 2023 India is chairing the G20. So in Egypt will be coming to India for the summit that will be held in September. So the president will be coming. Then the next thing is that basically Egypt also recently joined the new development bank, which is set up by the BRICS nation, that is the Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And Egypt is also willing to join the BRICS. Okay, Egypt is also willing to join the BRICS. Okay, so again, on one more platform, India and Egypt will come together. So these particular things shows the convergences between the India and Egypt that are there. However, right now there is a problem also that the Egypt is facing. What are the challenges and the problems that Egypt is facing? Number one challenge of the Egypt right now is that economic crisis that is going on the post COVID, high inflation rate. Inflation right now is in double digit in Egypt. Egypt's tourism has declined a lot post COVID. Okay, so all these are the concerns of the Egypt. Fine. However, still there are a lot of low hanging fruits. For example, Egypt is a big importer of cars, importer of food grains, importer of medicines, importer of petroleum refined products. All of them can be supported or can be exported by the India to Egypt. So both countries can collaborate on this particular front. Okay, so this is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article, laying the foundation for a future ready digital India. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, regulation of cyber technologies, and even in GS paper number 2, okay, digital governance, we can use this particular article. So this is the importance of this particular article, and now let's take what the article is actually providing. Now basically, guys, the article is talking about the digital India bill that might be placed in the parliament in the monsoon session. Okay, now understand this thing. Right now we have the IT Act of 2000. Now this particular act is 23-year old, and now the challenges of artificial intelligence, machine to machine communication, new age cyber frauds, etc., that are coming, this IT Act of 2000 is not able to meet them. So we need a new age legislation, and therefore a new digital India bill will be brought, which might replace this IT Act of 2000, and it will help to tackle all the emerging challenges, fine, such as user harm associated with the cyber technologies, issues of competition, okay, misinformation, fake information, AI, all these things. Now the first draft of this particular bill will be brought by the June. As of now, the draft even has not come. So first of all, you are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article. Now the article says this thing, that the changes that are proposed is, number one, categorization of the digital intermediaries into the different or distinct classes. As e-commerce player is a different class, in the same way social media intermediaries are to be classified into the distinct classes. Now first of all, what is a social media intermediary? So the social media intermediary has been defined by the IT Act. Intermediary is any entity between the user and the internet. Okay, let me give you a very simple definition. For example, the Facebook is a social media intermediary. Okay, Twitter, Instagram, all of them are the social media intermediary. Okay, these are the social media intermediaries. Right now the social media intermediaries are divided in three parts. That is the social media intermediaries, significant social media intermediaries. Now significant social media intermediaries are the ones who have a very big user base. As of now, as per the IT rules of 2021, any social media platform having more than 50 lakh users, it will be called as a significant social media intermediary. And then there are the online gaming intermediary also, the platforms which arrange the gaming tournaments and all such kind of things. Okay, so this is something. Now as of now guys, there are certain obligations on the social media intermediaries. For example, there is a 72-hour timeline for responding to the law enforcement tasks, resolving content takedown request. For example, on Facebook, there is some kind of a harm post that is spreading. So law enforcement agencies can ask the Facebook that you please take down that post. So they have to do that. Law enforcement agencies can ask some information, so they have to comply with them within the 72 hours that is there. Now it has been said okay, that right now there is a need of an hour, that we need to create a new framework that requires intermediaries to undertake the risk assessment on their platform, whether their platforms are capable to filter out the fake information, propaganda, disinformation at their own or not. So they need to carry the risk assessment. This particular thing is to be added into the new Digital India bill that will be proposed. Then the next thing that has been provided here is that intermediaries that offer communication services, they also need to take up the risk assessment. Now guys, understand this thing. For example, WhatsApp is providing the communication services. There is the messenger of the Facebook which provides the communication services. Twitter provides the communication services. So they also need to carry the risk assessment of their platforms. Okay, also they need to adhere to the special obligations such as appointing the India based officers, setting up in-house grievance redressal mechanism. So all these particular things should be brought in the Digital India bill, and they are expected that they will come. However, as of now, much information is not out there. When the actual draft will come, we'll see that what are the important proposals that have come out of that. Okay, so that is all about that. Fine. Then moving on to the next article here, we have this article, A Man of the Times and Ahead of It. Okay, now guys, the article is not containing much of substance for the examination. It is talking about the Imtiaz Ahmad, okay, who was a prominent scholar and played a very important role in the society. Okay, so he was an insightful sociologist, academician. Okay, and he also described Indian democracy as a secular state in a communal society. Secular state in a communal society. So basically his life profile and all such kind of things are being provided. However, in UPSC examination, the life sketch of the contemporary times scholars etc., they are not asked. So therefore we are not going too much in detail for the exam point of view. Now moving to the next article, Sri Lanka to restructure its domestic debt amid challenges. Sri Lanka to restructure its domestic debt amid challenges. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the neighbors. Issues related to the neighbors. Now, first of all, guys, we have discussed it so many times, and you might also be knowing that right now Sri Lanka is going through a situation of economic crisis. Now, more than 2 years have happened since the economic crisis has started in Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka has virtually exhausted all their foreign exchange. They don't have money to pay back for their foreign debt as well as their domestic debt. Now, as the Sri Lanka was about to default on their foreign payments, the IMF came and IMF helped the Sri Lanka under extended fund facility. So IMF, International Monetary Fund. Now understand this thing, International Monetary Fund will help a country only if there is a BOP crisis, balance of payment crisis. A balance of payment crisis is one when a country is not able to pay back for the items that they have imported. That is the BOP crisis. Then the IMF will help a nation. And under the extended fund facility, IMF can provide the funding. Okay. Now recently what has happened, IMF have provided nearly $3 billion package to the Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka has been asked by the IMF uh, that the Sri Lanka has to restructure their foreign as well as the domestic debt. Right now, Sri Lanka has $41 billion of international debt. It has $42 billion of domestic debt. Now, basically, when we talk about a domestic debt, guys, understand this thing that in India also, the government is issuing the securities. These securities are being bought by the institutional buyers, for example, banks, financial institutions. Some of the securities are also being bought by the people, retail investors. Okay, so this money is going to the government. So this becomes the government's domestic debt. In the same way, Sri Lanka also has issued the securities to the institutional buyers within their country, people, etc., which is the domestic debt. They need to renegotiate, restructure this particular debt. What could be the restructuring? Restructuring could be some haircut. For example, I took 100 rupees, but now I am going through a crisis. I will pay you back 90 rupees only. This is a haircut. Or interest terms could be renegotiated. For example, I took the money at 8% interest rate, but now I will pay you 6% interest rate. So many such kind of an arrangements could be there. Now Sri Lanka is going for restructuring of their debt, and Sri Lanka will shut down its banks and the financial sector for 5 days and will bring out this particular plan. Now in this particular restructuring plan, China might be playing a very important role. Okay, now guys, we see this particular thing that all the international fronts, China is becoming very much active. Recently, China also negotiated the deal, peace deal between the Saudi Arabia and Iran also. Recently, what has happened? China has played a very important role in the Zambia's debt restructure plan, and here also the China will play a role. So China is extending the diplomatic muscles also in this situation. However, at the same time, the government in Sri Lanka is facing certain challenges also. The challenges is something like this, that when they restructure the domestic debt, there is the concern in the people that they have invested money into the government securities, their interest rate would be cut down. Even the financial institutions who have given the money to the government of Sri Lanka, there are the concerns that their interest rates might be impacted, okay, or there might be the extension of tenure or extension of maturity or any such kind of a thing. So it is a concern, and the situation is very much difficult for the Sri Lanka to restructure their debt. Okay, so that is all about it. And now the main practice question for today. Bolstered by historical ties and struck by present day geopolitical turmoil, it is clear that India and Egypt are now essaying a closer relationship. Comment. This will be a 10 marker question, GS paper number 2, international relation, India and Egypt. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular question for today. And with this we come to an end to the today's session. I hope that you have understood and you have liked the video. Thank you so much.